Welcome to World Tide News, where we navigate the powerful currents shaping our world. Today we turn our attention to Nepal, a nation that has just offered the world a lesson in the power of youth, discontent, and political failure. The resignation of Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli came only after relentless, youth-led protests shook Kathmandu to its core.
Protesters took over the streets, the Prime Minister resigned, and over 20 people died. Here's how Nepal's anti-corruption protests unfolded and what could happen next. Anger over corruption was building for weeks, and pictures were being shared online of the lavish lives of some of the children of Nepal's politicians under the hashtag Nepo babies. But it was in fact a ban on a number of social media platforms, including Instagram and Facebook, that sparked people to turn out on the streets of Kathmandu.
What began as frustration over corruption, nepotism, and economic decay soon ignited into full-blown revolt. Young people, primarily Gen Z, took to the streets, furious over failing leadership, social media restrictions, and a system that rewarded nepotism while ignoring ordinary citizens. The result? Days of chaos. Streets burned, parliament buildings and homes of political leaders went up in flames. And in the end, a government that refused to listen had no choice but to fall. This was not just about one politician stepping down. It was a seismic statement. When leaders betray their people, especially the young, the people will fight back, loudly and sometimes violently.
Engulfed in smoke as the Nepalese parliament burned, anti-corruption demonstrators celebrated. They succeeded in forcing Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli to resign Tuesday, along with two of his cabinet ministers.
Nepal's turmoil underscores a hard reality that leaders around the world should recognize. Governments cannot keep ignoring economic collapse, corruption, and social frustration without facing consequences. The youth, burdened by unemployment, inflation, and fading hope, see their futures being stolen. And when hope disappears, rebellion rises. What makes Nepal's story even more powerful is that it serves as a warning beyond its borders. And nowhere does this warning resonate more urgently than in Ethiopia. Ethiopia has endured years of turmoil. A devastating 2-year war between the government of Abiy Ahmed and the Tigray region scarred the nation. That conflict was followed by intensive clashes with the Amhara-based Fano and the Oromo Liberation Army. Meanwhile, the economy is unraveling. Inflation is crushing families. The birr is in free fall. Unemployment is rising. And for Ethiopia's young people, the future looks dim. For Ethiopian youth, the parallels with Nepal are striking. They too face a future clouded with uncertainty. They see a government unable or unwilling to deliver on its promises. They feel a system that rewards the few while leaving the many behind. Dreams of prosperity are fading. Frustration is growing.
The 77% has explored many subject matters across Africa, but one word keeps coming up: unemployment. And we're here in the capital of Ethiopia to try and figure out why it is that Africans just can't seem to crack the code when it comes to hiring young people. And I'd like to begin with Idris. He's actually an economist here in Addis. And just to give us an overview of the situation here in Ethiopia, what's the current rate of unemployment?
We have the recent data that shows unemployment is just like more than 25%.
ስራ እየፈለኩ ነው። በአፕላይድ ባዮሎጂ ነው የተመረኩት። አፕላይድ ባዮሎጂ ነው የተመረኩት የመጀመሪያ ዲግሪ ማለት ነው። አሁን 3ኛ ዓመት ሆኖኛል። ምንም አይነት ስራ እየተገኘ አይደለም። እጅግ በጣም አሳዛኝ ነው።
So the critical question is this: will Ethiopia's leaders learn from Nepal's tragedy before it is too late? Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed stands at a crossroads. Will he recognize that grievances and discontent cannot be silenced with force or ignored through propaganda? Will he open the door to dialogue, to inclusivity, to reforms that give young people hope? Or will he gamble on the hope that discontent will simply fade away? A gamble that, history tells us, leaders almost always lose. The lesson from Nepal is clear. When governments fail to act, people act for themselves, and it is almost always the youth who light that spark. The burning of parliament in Kathmandu wasn't just the destruction of buildings, it was the destruction of a political order that no longer served its people. Ethiopia risks facing a similar moment if it continues its current path. This isn't about speculation, it's about historical patterns. Governments that dismiss the cries of their people almost always face uprisings that change the course of history. Whether through peaceful reform or violent upheaval, change eventually comes. The only question is how. For Ethiopia, the time for choice is now. Dialogue or discord, reform or rebellion, consensus or conflict. And make no mistake, if the frustrations of Ethiopia's youth boil over, the consequences will be massive, not just for the country, but for the entire Horn of Africa. As we watch events unfold, the warning from Nepal rings louder than ever. Leaders who refuse to change will eventually be changed by the very people they govern. As observers, all we can do is watch, hope, and pray that dialogue and wisdom prevail before the unrest becomes inevitable. This is World Tide News. If you value staying informed about the forces shaping our world, please like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next report. Thank you for watching.